Hey everyone, picture this. A garden bursting with ripe, juicy tomatoes, crisp lettuce, fragrant herbs, all grown without using a single chemical. No pesticides, no synthetic fertilizers, no nasty sprays, just pure, natural, organic goodness. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, stick with me because I'm about to share my personal journey of going fully organic in my garden, and how that decision led to a massive harvest that totally blew me away. Spoiler alert, it's easier than you think, and the results are amazing. So here's the deal. Before I started this whole organic gardening adventure, I was stuck in the usual mindset. I believed that to get big, healthy crops, you basically had to use chemicals. That was the only way. I mean, who can grow a massive garden without fertilizers and pest sprays? That was my thinking too. But one day I thought, what if I try something different? What if I go 100% chemical free and just see what happens? I started small, like really small. I had this tiny patch of dirt in my backyard, just enough to plant a handful of seeds. I didn't have fancy tools or tons of experience, and honestly I wasn't sure if anything would even grow. But I was ready to experiment, to learn, and to be patient. I threw away all those chemical fertilizers and sprays I had lying around and said goodbye to synthetic stuff for good. Instead, I got into the basics of organic gardening, composting kitchen scraps to feed my soil, using natural mulches, and building a healthy environment for my plants to grow strong on their own. It was a whole new way of thinking. No quick fixes, no shortcuts, just working with nature instead of against it. At first it was a bit scary. Would my plants survive without those chemical boosters? Would pests destroy my tiny garden? But as days passed, I started to see signs of life. The leaves looked greener and healthier. The seedlings pushed up through the soil, reaching for the sun with surprising strength. And little by little, my garden started to grow. Not just survive, but actually thrive. By the time the first harvest rolled around, I was shocked. The tomatoes were plump and sweet, the lettuce crunchy and fresh, and the herbs smelled amazing. And all of that without a single chemical? Mind-blowing. If you've ever wondered if it's possible to grow a big harvest organically, or if you want to try it yourself, but don't know where to start, this video is for you. I'm sharing everything I learned, the mistakes I made, the wins I celebrated, and how going chemical-free completely changed my gardening game. So buckle up, and let's dive into how you can start your own organic garden, get a massive harvest, and do it all naturally. Let's go. Alright, now that you know how I got started, let's get into the real stuff. The how-to basics that made this zero-chemical massive harvest happen. Because here's the truth. Organic gardening isn't magic. It's about understanding the basics and working with nature, not against it. So let me break down the 5 key steps that helped me turn my small garden into a thriving, chemical-free paradise. Step 1. Soil is everything. Seriously, your garden starts with the dirt. I can't stress this enough. Healthy soil means healthy plants. When I first started, I tested my soil just by looking and feeling it. Was it dry or crumbly? Did it have earthworms? That's a good sign. If you want to be more precise, there are simple soil test kits you can get online or at a garden store. The goal is to know what your soil needs naturally, whether it's more nutrients or better drainage. I began by making my own compost bin. Instead of tossing my kitchen scraps, I collected vegetable peelings, coffee grounds, eggshells, and even shredded paper, and let them turn into rich, dark compost. This compost became the main source of nutrients for my garden, feeding the soil and keeping it alive. No synthetic fertilizers needed. Step 2. Pick the right plants. Some plants just love growing organically and are easier to care for without chemicals. I started with tomatoes, spinach, basil, and peppers. Classic favorites that grow fast and are super rewarding. Choosing plants that fit your climate and soil makes a huge difference. When you pick varieties suited to your area, they're naturally stronger and less likely to get sick or attacked by pests. Step 3. Water smart. Overwatering can be a silent killer in organic gardens. Instead of watering every day, I learned to water deeply, but less often. This encourages roots to dig down deeper into the soil, making plants stronger and more drought-resistant. Plus, wet leaves can lead to fungus and disease, so I made sure to water at the base of plants, not over the leaves. To make life easier, I set up a simple drip irrigation system, cheap, efficient, and it saves tons of water. Trust me, it's a game changer. Step 4. Deal with pests naturally. This part scared me the most at first. How do you keep bugs away without chemicals? The answer: teamwork. I planted companion plants like marigolds and nasturtiums around my veggies because pests hate them. Plus, I attracted beneficial bugs like ladybugs and praying mantises. They're the good guys that eat the bad bugs. When pests got really bad, I made my own natural spray using neem oil mixed with water and a little soap. It's safe, effective, and won't harm your plants or soil. Step 5. Mulch everything. Mulching is one of the easiest, most powerful tricks. I covered my soil with straw, dried grass clippings, and shredded leaves. Mulch locks in moisture, stops weeds from taking over, and slowly feeds the soil as it breaks down. Plus, it keeps the soil cool during hot days and warm during chilly nights. It's like giving your garden a cozy blanket. I won't lie, this takes time and daily care. You can't just plant seeds and forget them. Every day I checked my plants, pulled out weeds, watered carefully, and made sure pests didn't get out of control. But watching my garden grow healthier and stronger without chemicals made it all worth it. So if you're ready to grow clean, healthy food naturally, start with these 5 steps. Trust me, once you get the hang of it, organic gardening becomes not just easy but also fun. Alright, now let's get real for a minute. Organic gardening with 0 chemicals isn't always a walk in the park. There were definitely some bumps along the way, and I want to be honest about that because it's part of the journey, and it made the success feel even sweeter. At the beginning, I lost a lot of seedlings. Bugs, weather, and just plain beginner mistakes took out more plants than I care to admit. Without chemical pesticides, I couldn't just spray and forget. I had to get hands-on, observant, and creative. It was frustrating sometimes, like why won't these little guys just grow? But it also felt kind of like a game, figuring out how to protect my plants naturally, learning what worked and what didn't. One time, a big storm hit and flattened almost half my garden overnight. I thought, well, that's it, all my hard work gone. But surprisingly, the plants bounced back. They healed faster than I expected, and new shoots started growing within days. That was a huge eye-opener. It made me realize how strong plants can be when grown in healthy, chemical-free soil. They're tougher and more resilient than you think. Weeds were another major challenge. Without chemical weed killers, it was all on me to pull them out by hand. It was a lot of work, especially in the beginning when my garden was small and weeds seemed to grow faster than my veggies. Mulching helped a ton because it blocks sunlight from reaching weed seeds, but I still had to stay on top of it. And honestly, it felt good to be out there, working with the earth, getting my hands dirty every day. Pests? Oh yeah, they were always trying to crash the party. Aphids, caterpillars, and even snails showed up. Instead of freaking out, I turned to natural pest control. Planting marigolds around the edges, inviting ladybugs in, and spraying neem oil when needed kept the pests in check. It was like building a mini ecosystem that balanced itself out. No chemicals, no harm done. Now here's the exciting part. After about 3 months, all that hard work started paying off big time. My garden exploded with produce. I had baskets full of ripe, juicy tomatoes, piles of crunchy peppers, and leafy greens that tasted like they'd come straight from a farmer's market. And the flavor? Insane. Way better than anything I'd bought at the store. Friends and family started noticing too. They kept asking for tips, and even some of my fresh veggies. It felt amazing to share food I'd grown naturally, knowing it was free of chemicals and full of nutrients. Plus, growing my own food saved me money. No more overpriced organic veggies at the store. Looking back, the challenges taught me a lot about patience and persistence. Organic gardening is a bit of a learning curve, but it's also incredibly rewarding. The satisfaction of growing your own chemical-free food and watching it thrive is hard to beat. So here's the big takeaway from my zero-chemical, massive harvest journey. If you've been thinking about starting your own organic garden but feel nervous or unsure, I'm here to tell you, just start. You don't need a huge backyard or fancy equipment. You just need some dirt, a few seeds, and a willingness to learn and get your hands a little dirty. Going chemical-free isn't about being perfect or having everything figured out right away. It's about making a choice to work with nature and trusting the process. I was a total beginner when I started. I didn't have a green thumb and I made plenty of mistakes. But every day, I learned something new, and bit by bit, my garden grew stronger and healthier. One of the coolest things about organic gardening is how it connects you to the earth. You start noticing things you never saw before, like how certain bugs help your plants, or how different soils feel under your fingers. It's calming, rewarding, and honestly kind of addictive. Plus, there's something really powerful about knowing exactly where your food comes from. When you pick a ripe tomato or snip fresh herbs from your own garden, it tastes different. Better. You know it's clean, healthy, and grown with care. That feeling alone makes all the hard work worth it. Another bonus? You're helping the planet. By avoiding chemicals, you're protecting the soil, water, and all the little creatures that keep our environment healthy. It's a small step that adds up to big change. If you're worried about pests or weeds without chemicals, don't sweat it. Nature has its own ways to keep things balanced, and you can learn to work with that. Plant companions, attract beneficial insects, mulch, and keep an eye on your plants. It's all about creating a healthy, thriving garden ecosystem. And if you ever feel stuck or frustrated, remember this. Every gardener faces challenges, even the pros. What matters is how you keep going. Celebrate your wins, learn from the setbacks, and keep experimenting. Gardening is a journey, not a race. So, whether you have a tiny balcony, a backyard, or even just a few pots by your window, start small. Plant a few herbs or veggies, watch them grow, and enjoy the process. You'll be surprised how quickly that little patch of green can turn into a food-producing powerhouse. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on more real-life, no-fluff tips about organic gardening and living naturally. And drop a comment below telling me what you want to grow next. I'd love to hear your ideas and help you get started. Remember, zero chemicals, massive harvest. It's not just a dream, it can be your reality too. Now go grab some seeds and get growing. You've got this. Catch you in the next video.